Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. One of the characteristics of an infantile individual is using absolute terms like you never do this, or you always say that, or you always do that. I will never speak with you again. Speaking like always, never, things like this, which after a while, if you are alive on this planet for some time, you realize that these things rarely happen, which means it's not going to be a never, it's not going to be an always, But we are as we are, little people, let's put it this way. Not little people as little people, but unimportant, pieces in a society. You expect for instance, a foreign minister or a president of a country or a big politician, a leader, to be more mature and not so infantile, speaking in this kind of terms. Will never speak with you again. How do you know that? Things happen. And why did I start with this? I start with this because Germany, obviously, on one point, will obviously could become very much allies with Russia. Russia could come one day become an ally with United States and will have the enemy, the Great Britain. You might not know. It could happen. There are, possibilities and probabilities. So possibilities are there. Probabilities are kind of slim. But it's never, to use that word, never impossible, to say, oh my God, never, never, never. And it seems like Germany realizes that, I think it realized from the very beginning, actually, the beginning being the time when they were pressed by the United States of America into applying sanctions on its own, how should I put it, resources that come into their countries, in the country. And that is Russian gas, Russian oil, and anything that they might need from the Russians. And they were dependent on Russian gas, about 40%, I think, and oil as well. Well, they had to do what the boss tell them, even though Germany was not involved in a direct confrontation with Russia, as neither was United States. But United States, if you know what I mean, here is the war, you're guilty. There's many other ways to look at this issue. Nevertheless, Germany was never a volunteer in hurting Russia because it knew that if it hurts Russia, automatically it's gonna bite it in the butt because it's gonna hurt itself as well. So at one point we had Annalena Baerbock, the foreign minister of Germany, and she made 2 or 3 statements that I read, and out of the 3 statements, one was mediocre and the other ones were straight dumb. So I said, well, this person is infantile. And one of these statements that she made, I don't know, about 7 months ago, 8 months ago, 6 months ago, she said that we will never speak with Germany again, with Russia again. Russia will never be back into the world community. Annalena, how in the hell you know? And you're a foreign minister. She's like 30 something, I think, and that might explain certain things. No offense to younger people, but we learn, and I think this thing with never and always should be learned at about age 16. If you still have that, we still have time to change it, but in her position, she should not be really employing this kind of language, never, always, and so on. But she did. So for me, that was a big final flag that she is, how should I put it, unexperienced, immature, infantile. All right, now let's move to this article where we see that Germany wants and prepare its way back into Russia's bed, or whatever they would like to have it done. This article comes from Republic World. It is from December 3rd, 2022. Germany says it wants post-conflict agreements with Russia. We have to go back. Of course you gotta go back. Only Andalena thinks, however old she is, 39, 37, 35, she acts like, I don't know, 12. And I'm quoting, "We have to go back to the agreements which we had in the last decades and which were the basis for peace and security order in Europe," Scholz says. Now this really much surprises me, because Scholz never impressed me with, he surprises me, but he never impressed me. Maybe he impressed me at the beginning when I realized that he's not what he should be. That means, again, TTT, so that was the first impression, and I was like very impressed, negatively impressed, suppressed. And he's coming with this. Yes, that tells me that they regret certain kind of decisions, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. The thing is, there was a meeting between the cooperation, security cooperation, something like that, I can't remember, OSCE, OCC, whatever, where, if you remember, Poland is the chair country of this in Europe, and they did not allow the Russian delegation to show up, Lavrov, because it occurs in Poland. So the Poles decided, as a host country and the country that chairs the organization, this organization, which Russia is part of, I think it's the European OSCE or something like that, European something, as I said, something about security in Europe. Nevertheless, they didn't allow Russia to show up, and NATO country in this little organization said that they will, Russia is the enemy, and the security that we're gonna have purposely against Russia. Not with Russia, but against Russia. There were a few articles regarding this where they decided, just a few countries from NATO said that. And it seems like Scholz says, well, we can't really do that because there's not going to be security. Well, that's the purpose of the United States. Why should there be security in Europe when I can hold you, always scared, and you're going to do what I tell you to do? So you fall right on my lap, if you know what I mean. So, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Friday said that the revival of the post-Cold War security agreements with Russia were necessary to restore peace in the European region. While German Chancellor Scholz refused the prospect of returning to the past partnership with Moscow, they have to. Russia is too important. If it stays like this, if it's going to be, the government will be overthrown and it's going to be a vassal state, yes, then that's fine. But they will have to. Russia is too important, too big, too many resources, natural resources that the world needs, that they can access at a lower price. And they cannot miss this opportunity. They will have the business interests. They're going to ask the politicians to do whatever necessary to go into partnership with Russia. But no partnership, because the United States said don't go into partnership because they can blackmail you. It's okay, now you're in a partnership with liquefied natural gas with the United States. Now they can blackmail you. So that's the whole purpose. But no, United States are the good guys, so they don't blackmail. What they do is not called blackmail. It's called help at a premium price. What the Russians do is blackmail, okay? Because you impose sanctions on them. They didn't impose sanctions on you. So that's the way it goes. So he refused prospects of returning to the past partnership with Moscow. He agreed and apparently displayed a willingness to work with Moscow in the future, Times UK reports. And I'm quoting, "We have to go back to the agreements which we had in the last decades and which were the basis for peace and security in Europe. Security order in Europe," Scholz said at the Berlin Security Conference. Some degrees of willingness in Berlin to have partnership with Russia. That's what it is. They want to go back. So, according to the German Chancellor, there was still some degree of willingness in Berlin to discuss arms control and missile deployment treaties with Moscow, although he noted at the conference that this peace order would depend on Russia making some significant concessions and not Ukraine. Russia, still politics, so what can you do? Well, while Germany agreed to ink some agreements with the former Soviet Union, the chancellor reiterated his support Ukraine for a long. It was his support probably for Ukraine as long as it takes, echoing the pledge by the European allies and the U.S., who's the boss over here. So they didn't say exactly. They want to be, how do you call it, safe, secure, and under their terms. But it's, see, this is one problem that that Russia tried to solve and always requested. Anyway, the idea is that it's good when countries at least communicate. And in business, there's no, how should I put it, pleasure and displeasure. It's just business. And you look for your interest, the other side is looking for his or her interest, and you try to make your life better, in this case, your country. You try to improve whatever economy you got, and in this case, Germany and Russia need one another, and they will get back together. I'm pretty sure that will happen, because it would be detrimental to both countries, and they don't have anything per se against one another. That's other interests that try to separate and isolate them, if you know what I mean. Well, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.